Imagine walking into a movie theater with just $2 in your pocket and being able to buy 13 movie tickets. Not one ticket, 13. That was the reality in 1920. But here is the twist that will blow your mind. Those same $2 had the purchasing power of over $32 today. So what happened? Where did all that value go? And more importantly, what could you actually buy with $2 back then that would cost you a fortune now? In 1920, America was entering the roaring 20s. The economy was booming. Jazz was playing on every street corner. And your money stretched further than you could possibly imagine today. A movie ticket cost just 15 cents. That means with $2, you could take 12 friends to the cinema and still have change left over for popcorn. Today, that same $2 will not even get you past the ticket counter. The average movie ticket in 2025 costs between $11.50 and $16. In major cities like New York or Los Angeles, you are looking at $20 to $23 for a single ticket. That is more than a 10,000% increase in price. But movies were just the beginning. Let's talk about bread. In 1920, a £1 loaf of bread cost 12 cents. With your $2, you could walk out of the bakery with 16 fresh loaves of bread. 16 loaves. That is enough to feed a family for weeks. Fast forward to today, and that same pound of bread will cost you around $4.17. Your $2 will not even buy you half a loaf. The price has increased by over 3,000%, but bread was not the only bargain. Milk was another incredible deal. A half-gallon of milk cost 33 cents in 1920. With $2, you could buy 6 half-gallons, which equals 3 full gallons of milk. Today, a gallon of milk costs between $3 and $4. Your $2 might get you half a gallon if you are lucky. That is roughly a 1,000% increase. Eggs tell an even more dramatic story. In 1920, a dozen grade A eggs cost 47 cents. With $2, you could purchase 4 dozens of eggs. That is 48 eggs total, enough to make breakfast for a month. Today, egg prices have been particularly volatile. As of 2025, a dozen eggs costs anywhere from $3.50 to $6.30, depending on where you live, and recent avian flu outbreaks. Your $2 will not even buy you a single dozen eggs in most places. That is an increase of over 1,000%, and in some cases much more. Now let's venture into the produce section. Oranges were a luxury item even in 1920, but they were still affordable. A dozen oranges cost 63 cents. With $2, you could buy 3 dozens of oranges. That is 36 fresh oranges bursting with vitamin C. Today, oranges vary in price, but you are looking at around 50 to 70 cents per orange for decent quality fruit. Your $2 might get you 3 or 4 oranges at best. The same goes for other fruits. Watermelon in 1920 cost just 2 cents per pound. Yes, you read that right, 2 cents. With $2, you could theoretically buy 100 pounds of watermelon. That is enough watermelon to feed a neighborhood block party. Today, watermelon costs anywhere from 40 to 70 cents per pound. Your $2 will get you maybe 3 to 5 pounds, a 98% decrease in purchasing power. But food was not the only thing that was incredibly cheap. Transportation was remarkably affordable too. In 1920, a ride on a streetcar or trolley cost about 5 cents. The exact fare varied slightly by city, but 5 cents was the standard. With $2, you could take 40 rides across town. 40 trips. That is enough to commute to work for a month with rides left over for weekend adventures. Today, public transportation has exploded in cost. In New York City, a single subway or bus ride costs $2.90 as of 2025. Your $2 will not even get you one ride. You would need to add another dollar just to board the train. That is a nearly 6,000% increase in the cost of urban transportation. Let's talk about gasoline, because even though cars were still relatively new in 1920, gas was already a commodity. A gallon of gasoline cost 33 cents. With $2, you could fill your tank with over 6 gallons of gas. That might not sound like much, but considering that cars in the 1920s got around 10 to 15 miles per gallon, you could drive 60 to 90 miles on $2 worth of gas. Today, gas prices fluctuate wildly, but the national average hovers around $3 to $4 per gallon. Your $2 will not even get you a full gallon. You would be lucky to get half a gallon. That is more than 1,000% increase. What about meat? Protein was abundant and affordable in 1920. A pound of bacon cost 52 cents. With $2, you could buy almost 4 pounds of bacon. That is enough bacon to satisfy even the most dedicated breakfast lover for weeks. Today, a pound of bacon costs around $6 to $8, depending on quality and brand. Your $2 will not even get you half a pound. That is over 1,000% increase. Round steak, a premium cut of beef, cost 40 cents per pound in 1920. Your $2 could buy 5 pounds of quality steak. 5 pounds. That is enough for multiple family dinners. Today, a pound of round steak costs anywhere from $8 to $12. Your $2 will not buy you even a quarter pound. Chicken was also incredibly cheap at 39 cents per pound. With $2, you could purchase over 5 pounds of chicken. Today, chicken breast costs around $4 to $6 per pound. Your $2 might get you less than half a pound. Dairy products were another area where 1920 prices seem almost fictional. Butter cost 70 cents per pound. With $2, you could buy almost 3 pounds of butter. Today, a pound of butter costs around $4.30 on average. Your $2 will not even get you half a pound. Cheese was 38 cents per pound. Your $2 could buy over 5 pounds of cheese. Today, cheese prices vary widely, but decent quality cheese runs about $6 to $8 per pound. Your $2 will get you a small chunk at best. Let's look at pantry staples. Coffee cost 47 cents per pound in 1920. With $2, you could buy over 4 pounds of coffee. That is enough coffee to keep you caffeinated for months. Today, a pound of decent coffee costs anywhere from $8 to $15. Your $2 will not buy you even a quarter pound of good coffee. Sugar was even more of a bargain. 5 pounds of sugar cost 97 cents. With $2, you could buy over 10 pounds of sugar. Today, 5 pounds of sugar costs around $4 to $5. Your $2 will barely get you 2 pounds. Flour was perhaps the best bargain of all. 5 pounds of flour cost 41 cents. With $2, you could purchase 24 pounds of flour. 24 pounds. That is enough flour to bake bread, cakes, and pastries for an entire season. Today, 5 pounds of flour costs around $3.50 to $4.50. Your $2 will get you maybe 2 pounds. Even vegetables were dirt cheap. Cabbage cost just 2 cents per pound. With $2, you could buy 100 pounds of cabbage. 100 pounds. You could make enough coleslaw and sauerkraut to last through the winter. Today, cabbage costs around 60 to 80 cents per pound. Your $2 will get you maybe 2 or 3 heads of cabbage. Potatoes were another steal. 10 pounds of potatoes cost 63 cents. With $2, you could buy over 31 pounds of potatoes. Today, 10 pounds of potatoes costs around $5 to $6. Your $2 might get you 3 or 4 pounds. So what does all this mean? It means that $2 in 1920 had the purchasing power of roughly $32.40 in today's money. But even accounting for inflation, the actual purchasing power feels much greater. You could feed a family, commute to work, entertain yourself at the movies, and still have money left over, all with just $2. Today, $2 barely gets you a candy bar or a bottle of water. The economic landscape of 1920 reveals something profound about how money, value, and quality of life have transformed over the past century. When we dig deeper into what $2 could purchase, the contrast becomes even more striking. The items we have explored so far are just the tip of the iceberg. Let's venture into household goods, clothing, entertainment beyond cinema, and other aspects of daily life that made the 1920s truly roaring for consumers. Consider personal hygiene and household cleaning products. In 1920, a bar of soap cost about 5 to 10 cents. With $2, you could buy 20 to 40 bars of soap. That is enough soap to keep your entire household clean for months, possibly even a year. Today, a single bar of decent quality soap costs between $3 and $6. Your $2 might get you half a bar of premium soap or 1 bar of standard quality. The soap industry has transformed dramatically, with specialized products for every imaginable use. But the core product has become exponentially more expensive. A box of laundry detergent cost about 25 cents in the 1920s. Your $2 could buy 8 boxes, enough to wash clothes for an entire family for months. Today, a comparable box of laundry detergent costs $10 to $15. Your $2 will not even get you a quarter of a box. Clothing tells an equally dramatic story about purchasing power erosion. In 1924, a man's dress shirt cost about $3. While this exceeds our $2 budget, let's look at what was affordable. A pair of men's work pants cost around $1.50 to $2. With your $2, you could buy one complete pair of durable work pants. Today, a comparable pair of work pants costs $40 to $60. Your $2 will not even buy you a belt to hold up those pants. Men's socks cost about 25 cents per pair in the 20s. Your $2 could buy 8 pairs of socks. Today, a single pair of quality socks costs $8 to $12. Your $2 might get you a quarter of one pair. For women, the situation was similar. A simple day dress cost around $5 in 1924, which was beyond our $2 limit. However, fabric to make a dress cost significantly less. Cotton fabric was about 30 to 40 cents per yard. With $2, a woman could purchase 5 yards of fabric, enough to make an entire dress with material left over. Today, decent quality cotton fabric costs $8 to $15 per yard. Your $2 will not even buy you half a yard. A pair of women's stockings cost about $1 in the 20s. Your $2 could buy 2 pairs. Today, a pair of quality stockings or tights costs $10 to $20. Your $2 will get you maybe 1/5 of a pair. Shoes present another striking comparison. Inexpensive but functional shoes cost about $2 to $4 per pair in the 1920s. Your $2 could get you close to a basic pair of shoes, though you might need to save just a bit more. Today, even the cheapest pair of functional shoes costs $30 to $50. Your $2 will not even cover the sales tax on a pair of shoes. Entertainment beyond cinema was also remarkably affordable. A ticket to a baseball game cost about 50 cents to $1.50 in 1920. With $2, you could attend at least one Major League Baseball game, possibly 2 if you sat in the cheaper seats. This was the era when Babe Ruth was breaking home run records and becoming a national icon. Americans could actually afford to watch their sports heroes in person regularly. Today, a Major League Baseball ticket costs anywhere from $20 to $200 depending on the seat and the team. Your $2 will not even get you through the turnstile. The average ticket price for a baseball game in 2025 is around $55. That is a nearly 4,000% increase. Boxing matches were another popular form of entertainment in the 20s. Jack Dempsey was drawing million-dollar gates, but regular boxing matches at local venues cost about $1 to $2 for admission. Your $2 could get you into a boxing match with money potentially left over. Today, even amateur boxing events charge $15 to $30 for admission. Professional boxing pay-per-view events can cost $75 to $100. Your $2 will not even cover the parking fee at the venue. Radio was just beginning to emerge as a mass entertainment medium in the early 20s. While owning a radio was expensive, listening to one was free once you had the device. However, attending live concerts and musical performances was affordable. A ticket to hear jazz in a Harlem club cost about 50 cents to $1. With your $2, you could enjoy 2 live jazz performances featuring legendary artists like Louis Armstrong or Duke Ellington. Today, a ticket to a jazz concert costs $50 to $150. Your $2 will not even cover the cover charge at most jazz clubs. Let's talk about newspapers and magazines, the primary sources of news and information in 1920. A daily newspaper cost about 2 to 3 cents. With $2, you could buy 66 to 100 newspapers. That is enough to stay informed for over 2 months with daily news delivery. Today, a single newspaper costs between $2 and $3. Your $2 will buy you exactly 1 newspaper. That is a 10,000% increase. Magazines cost about 10 to 15 cents per issue in the 20s. Your $2 could purchase 13 to 20 magazines. Today, magazines cost anywhere from $5 to $10 per issue. Your $2 might get you 1/5 to 2/5 of a magazine. Tobacco products, though we now understand their health dangers, were extremely cheap in 1920. A pack of cigarettes cost about 15 cents. With $2, you could buy over 13 packs of cigarettes. Today, cigarettes cost $10 to $15 per pack due to heavy taxation. Your $2 will not even buy you a fifth of a pack. That is one area where the price increase actually serves public health. Personal services were also remarkably affordable. A haircut for men cost about 25 to 35 cents. With $2, you could get 5 to 8 haircuts. That is enough haircuts for nearly half a year of regular grooming. Today, a basic men's haircut costs $20 to $30. Your $2 will not even cover the tip for your barber. A shave at a barber shop cost about 10 to 15 cents. Your $2 could buy 13 to 20 professional shaves. Today, if you can even find a barber shop that offers straight razor shaves, you are looking at $25 to $40. Your $2 is essentially worthless for this service. For women, beauty services were equally affordable. A shampoo and set cost about 50 cents to $1. With $2, you could get 2 to 4 visits to the beauty parlor. Today, a basic wash and blow dry costs $40 to $70. Your $2 will not even pay for the shampoo used. A manicure cost about 25 to 50 cents. Your $2 could buy 4 to 8 manicures. Today, a basic manicure costs $25 to $40. Your $2 might cover the removal of old polish. School supplies and children's items reveal yet another dimension of purchasing power. A pencil cost about 1 cent. With $2, you could buy 200 pencils. 200. That is enough pencils to supply an entire classroom for a school year. Today, a single decent pencil costs 50 cents to $1. Your $2 will buy you 2 to 4 pencils. A notebook cost about 5 to 10 cents. Your $2 could purchase 20 to 40 notebooks. Today, a single notebook costs $3 to $5. Your $2 might get you half a notebook. Children's toys were simple but affordable. A basic doll cost about 50 cents to $1. With $2, you could buy 2 to 4 dolls. Today, even basic dolls cost $15 to $30. Your $2 will not even buy you a doll's accessory. A simple ball or jump rope cost about 10 to 25 cents. Your $2 could buy 8 to 20 toys. Today, similar simple toys cost $8 to $15 each. Your $2 might get you a quarter of one toy. Dining out in 1920 was not a luxury reserved for the wealthy. It was an accessible pleasure that working-class families could regularly enjoy. A complete restaurant meal tells us more about quality of life than perhaps any other single metric. In 1921, a regular dinner at a home-style cafe, complete with choice of 3 meats, soup, potatoes, 1 side dish, pudding, and coffee or milk, cost 35 to 40 cents. With $2, you could enjoy 5 complete restaurant dinners with full courses. 5 full meals at a restaurant. That means a working person could eat out for lunch every weekday with their $2. Today, a comparable sit-down restaurant meal costs $15 to $30. Your $2 will not even cover the appetizer. The variety and value were astounding. In 1922, at a cafeteria in Champaign, Illinois, you could get veal loaf with tomato sauce for just 10 cents. Add mashed or fried potatoes for 5 cents. Apple pie for another 5 cents, and coffee with a free second cup, and you had a complete satisfying meal for 20 cents. With $2, you could eat 10 complete cafeteria meals. 10 meals. That is enough to feed yourself for over a week with 3 meals per day and still have money left over. Today, a fast food value meal costs $8 to $12. Your $2 will not even buy you a small fries. Even upscale dining was surprisingly accessible. In 1921, at Hoyler's Tea Room on Fifth Avenue in New York City, one of the more expensive establishments, chicken hash with poached egg cost 85 cents. A special blend coffee with cream was 20 cents. With $2, you could afford the chicken dish with $1.15 left over. Today, brunch at a mid-range establishment in New York costs $30 to $60 per person. Your $2 will not cover the tip. Candy and sweets were the ultimate affordable pleasure in the 1920s. Penny candy was not just a figure of speech, it was a reality. For 1 cent, you could buy substantial candy pieces, including licorice, Tootsie Rolls, caramels, and hard candies. With $2, you could buy 200 pieces of penny candy. 200 pieces. That is enough candy to fill a large jar and have sweets for months. Candy bars, which were becoming popular, cost 5 cents each. With $2, you could buy 40 candy bars. 40. That is more than a month's supply of daily treats. Today, a single candy bar costs $1.50 to $2.50. Your $2 will buy you 1 or 2 candy bars at most. That is a 4,000% decrease in candy buying power. Ice cream treats were similarly affordable. A frozen ice cream bar or cone cost 10 cents. With $2, you could enjoy 20 ice cream treats, 20 trips to the ice cream parlor. That is enough to have ice cream twice a week for 10 weeks. Today, a single scoop ice cream cone costs $4 to $7. Your $2 might get you half a scoop. Books and reading materials were accessible to everyone. A paperback novel or dime novel cost 10 to 25 cents. With $2, you could purchase 8 to 20 books. 8 to 20 books. That is enough reading material to build a small personal library. Today, a paperback book costs $12 to $18. Your $2 will not even buy you a bookmark. Magazines provided entertainment, news, and education for 10 to 15 cents per issue. Your $2 could buy 13 to 20 magazines. Today, magazines cost $5 to $10 each. Your $2 might buy 1/5 to 2/5 of a magazine. Comic books, which were just emerging as a popular medium in the late 20s, cost 5 to 10 cents. With $2, you could buy 20 to 40 comic books. Today, a single new comic book costs $4 to $6. Your $2 will not even buy half a comic book. For children, this represents a massive loss of accessible entertainment and literacy development. Postage and communication tell another story about connectivity and accessibility. A first-class postage stamp cost 2 cents in 1920. With $2, you could mail 100 letters. 100 letters. You could maintain correspondence with friends and family across the country for months. Today, a first-class stamp costs 73 cents. Your $2 will buy you 2 stamps with change left over. That is a 3,650% increase. A postcard stamp cost 1 cent. With $2, you could send 200 postcards. Imagine being able to send 200 messages for $2. Today, that same $2 buys you fewer than 3 stamps. The cost of staying connected through mail has exploded. A local phone call from a payphone cost 5 cents in the 20s. With $2, you could make 40 phone calls. Today, payphones have virtually disappeared, but where they exist, a call costs 50 cents to $1. Your $2 would buy 2 to 4 calls. However, the real comparison is to mobile phone service, which costs $40 to $100 per month. The proportional cost of communication has skyrocketed. Medical care, though far less advanced than today, was dramatically more affordable. A doctor's house call cost about $1 to $3 in 1920. Your $2 could cover 2/3 to a complete doctor visit. Today, even with insurance, a doctor's visit costs $50 to $200 out of pocket. Without insurance, costs can exceed $300. Your $2 will not even cover the copay. While modern medicine is infinitely more effective, the financial barrier to accessing care has grown exponentially. A bottle of aspirin containing 100 tablets cost about 25 cents. With $2, you could buy 8 bottles containing 800 aspirin tablets total. Today, a bottle of 100 aspirin costs $8 to $12. Your $2 might buy you 25 tablets. Dental care was similarly accessible. A tooth extraction cost about $1 to $2. Your $2 could cover a complete dental procedure. Today, a tooth extraction costs $150 to $400. Your $2 represents less than 2% of the cost. Let's examine household utilities and energy. Electricity was still relatively new in 1920, and not all homes had it, but for those who did, the cost was remarkably low. Electricity cost about 7 cents per kilowatt hour. With $2, you could purchase about 28 kilowatt hours of electricity. Today, electricity costs 12 to 15 cents per kilowatt hour on average. Your $2 will buy you 13 to 16 kilowatt hours. This is actually one of the few areas where inflation has been relatively modest, though still significant, at roughly a 100% increase. Coal for heating cost about $10 to $14 per ton in 1920. This exceeds our $2 budget significantly, but let's look at smaller quantities. Coal by the bag cost about 50 cents for 50 pounds. Your $2 could buy 4 bags totaling 200 pounds of coal. That is enough heating fuel for several weeks in winter. Today, comparable heating costs through natural gas or electric heat would run $50 to $150 per month. Your $2 might cover a day or two of winter heating. Kerosene for lamps cost about 15 to 20 cents per gallon. With $2, you could buy 10 to 13 gallons of kerosene. That is enough lighting fuel for months. Today, kerosene costs $4 to $6 per gallon. Your $2 will buy you less than half a gallon. Water service, where it was metered, cost pennies per month. $2 could cover several months of water service for a typical household. Today, water bills average $40 to $70 per month. Your $2 will not even cover 2 days of water service. Seeds and gardening supplies were incredibly cheap, enabling most families to grow their own food. A packet of vegetable seeds cost 5 to 10 cents. With $2, you could buy 20 to 40 packets of seeds. That is enough to plant an entire vegetable garden with multiple varieties of vegetables. Today, a single packet of seeds costs $3 to $5. Your $2 might buy you 1 packet. So what caused this dramatic erosion of purchasing power? Why can $2 today barely buy what 2 cents bought in 1920? The answer lies in a fundamental transformation of the American monetary system and economic policy over the past century. Understanding this transformation reveals not just what happened, but why it continues to accelerate. The Federal Reserve, created in 1913, fundamentally altered how money works in America. In 1920, the dollar was still tied to the gold standard. Every dollar represented a fixed amount of gold held in reserve. This constraint limited how much money could be created. But starting in the 1920s, the Federal Reserve began expanding the money supply dramatically. During World War I and the early 20s, the Fed printed significant amounts of money, fueling economic expansion and the stock market boom. When more dollars chase the same amount of goods, each dollar becomes worth less. This is the essence of inflation. The 1920s saw massive monetary expansion. The money supply grew far faster than the production of goods and services. This extra liquidity helped create the Roaring Twenties boom, but it also planted the seeds of the Great Depression. By 1928, the Fed reversed course and contracted the money supply sharply, contributing to the stock market crash of 1929 and the subsequent economic collapse. Throughout the 20th century, the Fed continued to expand and contract the money supply, but the overall trend was relentless expansion. More and more dollars were created, each one worth less than the one before. The final break came in 1971 when President Nixon ended the gold standard completely. After that, the dollar became what economists call fiat currency, meaning it has value only because the government says it does, not because it represents anything tangible. This allowed unlimited expansion of the money supply. The Federal Reserve could create as much money as policymakers deemed necessary without any constraint. Since 1971, the pace of dollar devaluation has accelerated dramatically. According to long-term data, the dollar has lost roughly 96% of its value since the creation of the Federal Reserve in 1913. A dollar today buys only about 6.17% of what it could buy in 1920. The cumulative price increase from 1920 to 2025 is over 1,500%. Prices are now 16.2 times higher than they were in 1920. The average inflation rate over this period has been 2.69% per year. That might not sound dramatic, but compound interest works both ways. Small percentages compound into massive changes over decades. What cost $1 in 1920 costs over $16 today. But the story is not just about inflation. It is about whether wages have kept pace. In 1920, the average annual income was $3,269 according to IRS records. A typical worker earned about $65 per week, or roughly $1.50 per hour for a 40-hour week. That $3,269 in 1920 would be equivalent to about $53,000 today when adjusted for inflation. However, the median household income in 2025 is $83,730. On the surface, this suggests wages have actually outpaced inflation, Americans today earn significantly more in inflation-adjusted terms than their 1920 counterparts. But here is where it gets complicated. While nominal wages have increased faster than general inflation, the purchasing power for many specific goods and services has fallen far more than the average inflation rate suggests. Housing costs have increased 43% just since 2020. Healthcare expenses continue rising at 2 to 3 times the general inflation rate. Education costs have exploded by over 1,000% since 1980. These essential categories consume a much larger share of household budgets today than in 1920, even though average income has kept pace with general inflation. In 1920, a typical family spent about 25% of their income on food. Today, food represents only about 10 to 12% of household budgets, despite massive food price increases. The difference is that housing, healthcare, education, and transportation now consume 50 to 60% of household income, compared to perhaps 30% in 1920. So while we earn more, we are also forced to spend proportionally more on essential services that have inflated faster than wages. The debt-based monetary system creates structural pressure for continued currency creation. Total U.S. debt, including government, corporate, and household debt, exceeds $37 trillion in 2025. Federal government debt alone surpassed $34 trillion in early 2024. Debt service costs now consume over 20% of federal tax revenue. Interest payments on government debt exceeded $1 trillion annually in 2024. This creates a self-reinforcing cycle. New money must be created to service existing debt obligations. This new money creation causes more inflation, which erodes purchasing power further, requiring more debt, requiring more money creation. It is a cycle that feeds on itself. Between 2021 and 2022 alone, dollar purchasing power declined 8.5%, the highest annual drop in 40 years. It fell another 6.4% between 2022 and 2023, and declined 3.2% more between 2023 and 2024. In just 3 years, the dollar lost nearly 18% of its purchasing power. Your $2 in 2021 buys less than $1.65 worth of goods today, and the trend shows no signs of stopping. The Federal Reserve balance sheet tells the story in stark terms. Before 2008, the Fed held under $1 trillion in assets. By 2025, that number has exploded to over $8 trillion. That is 8 times more dollars competing for goods and services. Multiple rounds of quantitative easing, near-zero interest rate policies, and direct fiscal stimulus have injected trillions of newly created dollars into the economy. Each new dollar dilutes the value of every existing dollar. Looking forward, several structural pressures point to continued purchasing power decline. Growing entitlement spending for Medicare and Social Security face enormous demographic pressures as baby boomers retire. Interest expense growth creates exponential increases in debt service costs. Higher interest rates on larger debt totals mean government spending on interest alone will continue climbing. Geopolitical de-dollarization is reducing international demand for dollars as reserve currency. China, Russia, and other nations are increasingly trading in their own currencies rather than dollars. Resource constraints in energy and materials are driving higher production costs. All these factors create persistent pressure for continued monetary expansion. Some countervailing forces could potentially slow the erosion. Technological productivity gains from automation and artificial intelligence could reduce production costs. Demographic shifts with an aging population might reduce consumption pressure. Monetary policy reforms focusing on price stability rather than continuous growth could help. Energy transition effects from renewable energy might reduce long-term energy costs, but these stabilizing factors face strong headwinds from the structural pressures driving expansion. The comparison between 1920 and 2025 reveals a profound truth. Money is not a stable store of value. It is a medium of exchange constantly being devalued by policy choices. The $2 that could buy you 13 movie tickets, 16 loaves of bread, 48 eggs, 36 oranges, 40 streetcar rides and complete restaurant meals in 1920 now barely buys you a bottle of water or a candy bar. That is not because goods have become intrinsically more valuable. It is because each dollar has become intrinsically less valuable. The purchasing power of money is not a law of nature. It is a policy choice. When governments choose to expand the money supply to finance wars, welfare programs, stimulus packages, and debt service, they are choosing to transfer wealth from savers and wage earners to borrowers and first recipients of new money. Every new dollar created makes existing dollars worth less. The $2 in your pocket today will likely buy even less tomorrow. By 2030, at current inflation rates, today's $2 will have the purchasing power of about $1.70. By 2040, perhaps $1.30. The erosion continues relentlessly unless fundamental monetary policy changes occur. This journey through 1920 prices is not just a nostalgic look backward, it is a warning about the future. If the past century taught us anything, it is that the purchasing power of fiat currency inevitably declines over time. What we can buy with $2 today will seem as impossibly cheap to our grandchildren as 1920 prices seem to us now. The question is not whether the dollar will continue losing value. The question is how fast, and whether wages and investments can keep pace. History suggests the answer is sobering. The dollar has lost 96% of its value in 105 years. There is no reason to expect that trend to reverse. Understanding this reality is the first step to protecting your financial future in an environment of perpetual currency devaluation.